You probably cleaned your dining table this week, maybe after breakfast, or right before company came over. You wiped it down, straightened everything up, cleared the clutter like you've done 1,000 times before. But here's something we don't often ask ourselves: what did we clear too well? And when we made that surface spotless, did we also erase something we didn't mean to? In homes across the country, dining tables are becoming quieter, not because people aren't eating, but because something small but vital is missing. I'm not talking about food, or fancy centerpieces, or decorating trends. I'm talking about the subtle markers of life, the things that say, this home is still lived in, this table still matters. And the truth is, many of us are unknowingly wiping those signs away in the name of order, minimalism, or just old habits. You see, there are small objects: an old cloth napkin, a piece of bread, a bowl of fruit that do more than just sit there. They hold presence, they hold rhythm, and more importantly, they hold energy. Not in a mystical sense, but in a very real, very emotional way. These are the quiet items that create a sense of enoughness, of care, of continuity. Now, this isn't about superstition or believing in invisible forces. It's about recognizing that your table, like your home, responds to how it's treated. When it's stripped bare and left empty, something in the air changes. It's subtle, yes. But over time, that subtlety becomes a feeling. Meals feel shorter, silence stretches longer, the room feels colder, not just physically, but emotionally. So before you clear that table again, I want to show you something. One small thing you might have removed without a second thought, yet it could be the very reason abundance has felt a little farther away lately. Part 1: a table doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to feel alive. There's a difference between a clean table and a living one, and most of us don't realize it until something starts to feel missing. Maybe you've felt it before. Your home is in order. The surfaces are spotless, everything looks exactly the way it should, and yet there's a strange stillness. The room feels too quiet, the meals shorter, the laughter thinner, and no one quite knows why. The truth is, we've been taught to aim for perfection: minimal counters, clean lines, nothing out of place. And while there's nothing wrong with loving a tidy home, something important gets lost when we mistake empty for peaceful. A table isn't meant to be bare. It's not just a surface to keep clear or decorate once in a while. It's a heartbeat in the middle of the house. It holds the rhythms of daily life, the slow rituals of coffee and conversation, the background hum of presence. But when that table becomes cold, when it turns into a display piece or a dumping ground, something in the home goes quiet too. And it happens quietly, gradually. We wipe away crumbs, tuck away cloths, remove anything unnecessary, until what's left is pristine and lifeless. No crumbs, no clutter, but also no energy. No sign that this is a place where someone just enjoyed a moment, or left behind a memory. And here's what matters: homes don't thrive on appearance. They thrive on presence. On the little things that remind us this space is lived in, cared for, loved. You don't need expensive centerpieces or matching dinnerware. You just need anything that still feels alive: a folded napkin that someone actually uses, a salt shaker that's passed around every evening, a little fruit bowl with imperfect apples. These aren't decorations, they're signs of life. And when they disappear, the home forgets how to breathe. You might not notice it right away, but the room does. Energy does. The space becomes a little less inviting. People start drifting to other rooms to eat. Meals become rushed. Even conversation starts to dry up, as if the table no longer holds space for it. That's not just coincidence. That's the table reflecting back the energy it's been given. See, every home has a rhythm. Not just in the sounds of footsteps or dishes clinking, but in the way spaces are used, remembered, and honored. And when the rhythm is interrupted, when the table is wiped of all signs of human warmth, we feel it. Sometimes as restlessness, sometimes as a quiet loneliness. Sometimes we don't even recognize it, we just feel off. So let me ask you something: when was the last time your table felt like a table, not just looked like one? When was the last time something stayed on that surface, not by accident, but on purpose? A jar of honey, a small plant, a half-read magazine, not clutter, not mess, just presence. A reminder that this home is being lived in today, not just cleaned for tomorrow. And this matters not just emotionally, but energetically. Because what we keep on the table becomes a message. To the home, to the people in it, to ourselves. It says this space matters. It's in use. It's not on pause. It's not just a prop for holidays or guests. It's part of everyday life. And when you leave behind that kind of message, a warm, lived-in signal, you create space for more than just meals. You invite in connection, comfort, even prosperity, not because the universe reads your furniture, but because you start showing up differently, with more care, more attention, more gratitude. And those little shifts, they change the energy of a space more than any renovation ever could. So if your table feels cold, distant, or simply forgotten, the answer isn't to buy something new. It's to place something back, something simple, something meaningful. You don't need to fill it up. You just need to give it a pulse again, a heartbeat, a sign that life hasn't moved on. Because when your table feels alive, the rest of the house remembers how to follow, and so do you. Part 2. Bills don't belong next to dinner. There's a certain weight that some items carry unseen, but undeniably present. You don't notice it right away, but you feel it. Maybe it's a stack of mail you haven't gone through yet, a bill left from yesterday, an insurance form, a prescription, a broken remote you keep meaning to fix. And sometimes, without even thinking, we set these things down right in the middle of where we eat, right next to dinner, because it's convenient, because we'll deal with it later. But here's the thing, dinner is not just food, it's energy. And what you place beside that energy matters. A dining table isn't meant to carry the weight of your worries. It's meant to hold meals, moments, and the soft rituals of being together. But when you leave your financial stress sitting inches from your plate, the food doesn't nourish the same. The conversation shifts. Even your appetite shrinks, and you don't always know why. There's a kind of emotional dust that bills and broken things carry. It settles over the table slowly, invisibly. And the more often those things are left there, the more they start to shape the tone of your home. Not out loud, but subtly. That's how energy moves quietly, patiently, until one day, you realize dinner feels rushed. People don't linger. No one makes eye contact the way they used to. And it's not about the food, it's about what else is sitting at the table. Because energy is contagious, and when debt, delay, and disrepair show up uninvited, they shift the whole emotional current of the space. Now, this isn't about shame. We all have busy lives, and paper finds its way into every corner of the house. But where we let it live speaks volumes. If your dining table becomes your bill-paying station, your filing cabinet, your repair bench, it forgets how to be a table. And the home starts to forget what it means to gather. This is especially true in homes where people already feel tired, where connection is harder, where someone's eating alone more nights than before. In those homes, the dining table becomes even more important, not because of what's on the plate, but because of how the space feels. And bills, forms unfinished business, they don't just sit quietly. They send signals. They say this space is for problems, not peace. They say there's no time to enjoy, only time to fix. Think about the message that sends to your body, to your heart, even if only subconsciously. You're supposed to take a breath at dinner, to let the day settle. But if your eyes land on an overdue notice or a broken charger, the breath tightens, the shoulders lift, and without realizing it, your nervous system forgets how to rest. That's not something we talk about much, but you can feel it. You know the difference between sitting down to a meal and sitting down to a mental to-do list. And that difference shapes the entire emotional climate of the home. It's not about perfection. It's not about pretending bills don't exist. It's about boundaries. About saying, this space is sacred. Even if you live alone, even if you're not lighting candles or setting the table, even if dinner is just soup and crackers in silence, that space still deserves to be clean, not just physically, but emotionally. You're allowed to protect the few square feet where your nourishment happens. You're allowed to make one surface in your house off limits to stress. You're allowed to say, this table is for peace. And the best part is, it doesn't take much. You don't need a big system or a fancy organizing tool, just a tray, a basket, a quiet rule that if it brings tension, it doesn't sit where you eat. Start noticing what ends up there by habit. Is it mail, phone chargers, tools, guilt? Give those things a new home, and give yourself back this one. Because when the table stays clear, not of life, but of pressure, you'll feel it. Not in dramatic ways, but in the return of softness, in how people talk, in how long they stay seated, in how deeply you taste your food. And over time, something else returns too, something most people don't realize they've lost. The feeling that the home is helping them, not draining them. That the space is on your side. Your dining table is not just furniture. It's emotional architecture. It holds together the rhythm of your days. And when you start treating it with that kind of quiet reverence, everything around it begins to respond. Not because you changed your decor, but because you changed your relationship with it. So let the bills wait. Let the broken pieces find another place. This is your place. The table is still where presence begins. Let it breathe like one. Part 3: An empty bowl. An empty table. A quiet kind of emptiness. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels hollow. Not because anything is wrong, but because nothing feels rooted. You walk into the dining room, and the table is empty. Not messy, not dirty, just empty. And at first glance it seems fine. Clean, tidy, presentable. But the longer you stand there, the more it starts to feel like something's missing. Like the space is waiting for something that never arrives. That's the thing about an empty table. It's not the absence of stuff that makes it uncomfortable, it's the absence of life. A clean slate can be refreshing, but when that blankness stretches too long, it stops being intentional. It starts feeling forgotten. Most people don't notice the shift when it happens. You remove a centerpiece to dust. You tuck away the fruit bowl because it's getting old. You don't replace the flowers this week because no one's coming over. One by one, the little signs of everyday life disappear, until the table is just a surface again. A wide, polished, neutral surface. And yet it doesn't feel light. It feels quiet in the wrong way. Because in every home, the table is more than wood and corners. It's emotional real estate. It's where energy gathers or doesn't. And when it's too bare for too long, it turns into an energy desert, a place where nothing sticks, where people stop stopping by, where conversation thins out, where even meals become silent, then optional, then scattered. And when a table becomes optional, the rituals of togetherness begin to fade. Here's what most people don't realize: a home doesn't lose warmth all at once. It fades, slowly, gently, with little choices. A fruit bowl not replaced, a cloth not laid, a napkin not folded, and before long the house starts to echo. Not with sound but with the absence of use, with the absence of care. That's what a truly empty table represents: not just a clean surface, but a pause in presence, a pause in rhythm. And when there's no rhythm, there's no energy. Because energy, like breath, needs movement, a sign of life, something that says this place is lived in, this place is loved. You don't need to clutter the table. That's not what this is about. It's not about adding more things. It's about protecting the signal, the subtle visual message that this space has a pulse. That meals happen here. That laughter still lingers here. That someone still cares enough to make it feel warm, even on an ordinary Tuesday. And the beauty of this is it takes almost nothing. A single object can change the entire emotional tone of the room. One bowl, one cloth, one candle, not for decoration, not for show, but for presence. Something that catches the eye gently and says, yes, this space is still alive. Think about it. How do you feel when you walk into a kitchen and see a fresh bowl of apples? Even if you don't eat one, doesn't it feel like the house is awake? Or when you see a single flower in a vase, even if it's just one stem, doesn't the air feel different? That's what I mean by energy, not magic, not superstition, just the emotional impact of visual cues. And the dining table is the most emotionally responsive space in the house. When you strip it bare, it goes quiet. When you give it something simple but alive, it responds. It lifts, it warms, it holds again. And it doesn't just affect the table, it affects you. It affects the people who pass by. It affects the way you feel at breakfast, and how long someone stays after dinner. It might even affect whether dinner happens at all. Because when the table doesn't feel inviting, people don't gather. They eat standing up. They eat alone. They skip meals. And slowly, home starts to become a place you pass through, not a place you return to. That's why this matters. Not because we need more stuff, but because we need more signals of care. A table that holds nothing starts to feel like it means nothing. And that feeling spreads into our habits, our mood, our sense of belonging. But the moment you place something with intention, a piece of bread, a seasonal fruit, a soft cloth, you're not just decorating. You're reactivating. You're reminding the space what it's for. And you're reminding yourself that your presence still matters here. That your care still leaves a mark. That life is still in motion, even if the days are quiet. So if your table feels cold, don't rush to redesign it. Don't overcomplicate it. Just bring one thing back. Something real. Something soft. Something alive. And leave it there not as a statement, but as a sign. Because homes don't ask for much, but they do ask for presence. And when you offer even a little of that, they come back to life. Not in big, dramatic ways, but in warmth, in slowness, in the return of moments that don't feel rushed. An empty bowl can still hold energy. A single object can still shift the air. A table doesn't need to be full, but it should never feel abandoned. Because when we abandon the table, we abandon the pulse of the home. And when we bring it back even just a little, we begin to bring ourselves back too. Part 4: Everyday objects that quietly hold prosperity energy. Sometimes, prosperity doesn't arrive with a windfall or a big breakthrough. Sometimes it comes quietly, through little things. Things that seem ordinary, even forgettable. But in a home that feels lived and loved, cared for, those small, silent objects begin to carry weight. Not financial weight, but energetic weight. They don't scream abundance, they whisper it. And if you look closely, you might realize the table that draws people in, the kitchen that feels like comfort, the home that seems to glow just a little warmer. All of them are anchored by these kinds of objects. Not expensive, not trendy, just intentional, just alive. Let's begin with something you probably already have but never thought of this way: a loaf of bread. Yes, just bread. Not artisanal, not ceremonial. Just the kind you'd slice for breakfast or pass around at dinner. But the truth is, bread is one of the oldest symbols of nourishment in the world. And when you keep a loaf on the table, it says something without words. It says, there is food in this house. It says, we're still eating together. And deeper than that, it says, we're okay. Maybe not rich, maybe not extravagant, but we're okay. That quiet assurance, that feeling of enough, is the foundation of any kind of abundance. Because when you feel like you have enough, you stop clinging, stop chasing, and start creating. Bread reminds the space, and the people in it, that life is still being shared here. The second object is just as simple: a bowl of fresh fruit. Not for display, not for show, but for living. Fruit is the natural conclusion of a cycle: seed, sprout, blossom, growth, and finally, ripeness. And placing fruit at the center of the table invites that rhythm into your home. Each piece brings a different energy. Apples are grounding, oranges are bright and playful, grapes feel lush and generous. You don't need a full arrangement. Even 2 or 3 pieces send a message to the room: something is growing here. Something is being cared for. Even better, fruit invites interaction. It invites someone to pause, reach out, take a bite. That small gesture of reaching for nourishment is, in itself, a symbol of abundance. Not just that you have food, but that you have enough to share. The third object often goes unnoticed, but its presence changes everything: a vase of fresh flowers. Not plastic, not dried. Fresh, something with fragrance, color, softness. Flowers don't last long, and that's the point. They speak to beauty that exists right now, not forever. Just now. And when you put a flower on your table, you tell the space this moment matters. You remind yourself that there is still something worth slowing down for, worth tending to. And emotionally, flowers do something profound. They soften the air. They soften conversations. They soften silence. You don't have to say anything. The flowers say it for you: someone lives here who still chooses beauty. That kind of energy is magnetic. It draws good things in, not by force, but by grace. And finally, the most overlooked, most powerful object of all: a small bowl of salt. It's not decorative, it doesn't sparkle, but its energy is grounding. Salt is one of the oldest cleansing agents in human history, not just physically, but symbolically. In the home, a small intentional bowl of salt becomes a quiet anchor. It absorbs what the room doesn't need to hold on to. It keeps the emotional air clear. And most importantly, it asks for nothing. It just sits there doing its job. Silent, steady, honest. That's the energy it brings: truth, stillness, and protection. When you place salt on your table, not scattered, but contained, it becomes a boundary. A signal to the space: we release what doesn't serve. We keep only what's real. Now, none of these objects are magical. They don't change your luck overnight. But they do something subtler, and in many ways more powerful. They change how your home feels. They change how you feel in it. They remind you that abundance isn't just about money. It's about rhythm, about presence, about care. And when you tend to your space with those things, even through bread, fruit, flowers, or salt, you begin to shift the energy in ways you didn't expect. People linger longer at the table. Meals stretch a few minutes more. Conversations go deeper. Silence feels comfortable, not empty. And over time, the home begins to feel like a container again, not just for things, but for life. That's how prosperity starts, not with a plan, but with a pulse, a beat of intention that says, we're here, we're present, we're open to good things finding us. So if you're wondering where to begin with the table. Clear what doesn't belong. Then add one of these 4. You don't need all of them at once. Just one, placed with care. It doesn't need to impress anyone. It just needs to mean something to you. Because when your space reflects that kind of quiet meaning, the energy shifts. The home breathes deeper. And abundance begins to find its way back, not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Not every home has space for extravagance, but every home has room for intention. And that's all these objects are: small, steady intentions made visible. Keep them close, let them do their quiet work, and watch how your home begins to glow in return. Final. If you've made it this far, thank you for not just listening, but feeling. What we've explored together today isn't just about tables, or bread, or fruit. It's about presence. About the spaces we live in and how, without meaning to, we can let them fall silent. But when you pause, when you choose to place one small, living thing back onto that quiet table, you're doing more than decorating. You're choosing life. You're choosing care. And that choice ripples. Because homes don't change overnight. They shift in slow, invisible ways. Through the rhythm of our hands. Through what we remove. Through what we keep. And the table so often overlooked is where those shifts begin. Not because it's sacred, but because it's central. It's where we feed not just our bodies, but our connection. And when that space holds signs of life, when it feels warm and used and loved, it begins to hold something else too: opportunity, comfort, and yes, prosperity. Prosperity, you see, isn't always loud. It doesn't always knock. Sometimes it simply looks around the room and asks, is this a place where I could stay? And when your table quietly answers yes, someone lives here, someone cares, prosperity lingers a little longer. So as you move through your home this week, I invite you to pause at the table. Just for a moment, ask yourself, does it feel lived in? Does it feel loved? And if the answer is no, don't worry. You don't need to fix it. You just need to begin. Maybe with a loaf of bread, a bowl of fruit, a single flower, a pinch of salt, something humble, something alive. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this brought you not just ideas, but a sense of quiet encouragement. Wherever you are, whatever your space looks like today, I hope it begins to feel a little softer, a little warmer, a little more like a home that still holds you. And if it does, then something good has already begun. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care, and may the energy you create come back to you gently and generously.